In the sleepy suburb of Willow Creek, Virginia, on a balmy Sunday afternoon in August 2024, my backyard barbecue was about to become the spark of an all-out neighborhood war. The air was thick with the smoky aroma of slow-cooked ribs. Laughter bounced off the newly built cedar deck, and classic rock hummed softly from my speakers. It was the kind of day that made you grateful for good friends, cold lemonade, and a grill that could make a grown man cry. But as I flipped a rack of ribs, red and blue lights pierced the dusk, and sirens shattered the calm. My guests froze, sauce dripping from their chins, as two police cruisers rolled into my driveway. My heart sank until I saw who stepped out. The trouble started with my neighbor, Evelyn Harper, a woman whose life seemed dedicated to policing our cul-de-sac. Evelyn wasn't just nosy. She was the self-appointed dictator of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, armed with a clipboard and a vendetta. She'd once reported my mailbox for being offensively maroon and sent a 3-page email about my porch light staying on past 10 p.m. That day, she'd spotted my barbecue from her perch 2 houses down, her eagle eyes catching the faint smoke curling skyward. By 4 p.m., she dialed 911, claiming my grill was a public hazard and my music an assault on community peace. She thought she'd won before the battle began. But when the cops meet old high school buddies, Officer Nate Coleman and Officer Jamal, Reed stepped into my yard, grinning and asking, "Yo, Travis, got any ribs left?" Evelyn's smug grin collapsed faster than a bad souffle. I'd spent weeks perfecting my backyard for this moment. After a grueling renovation, the space was a suburban oasis, twinkling string lights, a gleaming grill, and a deck that screamed, "Stay a while." I'd invited a handful of neighbors to celebrate, not to rage, but to savor the simple joy of good food and better company. By mid-afternoon, the vibe was perfect until Evelyn's silhouette loomed at the fence, her scowl sharp enough to slice brisket. I waved, offering a rib as a truce. She stormed off, and 10 minutes later, the sirens wailed. When Nate and Jamal arrived, they didn't just defuse the situation. They turned it into a comedy. "Ma'am," Nate told Evelyn, barely hiding his smirk, "grilling's not a crime, and neither is Leonard Skinner at 60 decibels. He added that her 911 call could earn her a fine for misuse. Evelyn's face went ghost white, but she wasn't done not by a long shot. The next morning, a letter from the HOA was taped to my door, signed by Evelyn, accusing me of an unauthorized gathering. It was war. Soon, other neighbors got hit. Lisa, a single mom, was cited for her unapproved garden trellis. Old Mister Henry got a warning for his overly festive wind chimes. Evelyn was on a power trip, and her reign of terror was suffocating our street. I started documenting everything: letters, security footage, her lackey's inspections of my lawn. When she targeted Mrs. Clara, an elderly widow, with a citation for her city-approved rain barrel, I'd had enough. This wasn't just petty, it was cruel. I hatched a plan, inspired by Jamal's half-joking suggestion to throw a barbecue so big Evelyn couldn't touch it. I organized Unity on the Green, a massive community cookout to raise funds for local firefighters. I secured permits, lined up sponsors, a local butcher, a soda brewery, even a bounce house company, and made sure every detail was airtight. Evelyn tried to block it, calling an emergency HOA meeting and ranting about smoke-induced trauma. But I came armed with bylaws, sponsors, and a calm smile. The board overruled her, and her composure cracked like cheap glass. The event was a triumph. By noon, my backyard overflowed with neighbors, first responders, and the mayor's aide. Nate and Jamal parked their cruisers out front, their kids tearing through the bounce house. The grills roared, music pulsed, and people who'd barely spoken in years swapped stories over coleslaw. Evelyn lurked, snapping photos and waving HOA rules like a flag of surrender. She even tried to lecture Nate, accusing us of impersonating authority with our event banner. He offered her a plate of pulled pork and a warning about disorderly conduct. When she called the fire marshal, he showed up, ate a burger, and complimented my grill setup. Every move she made backfired, and by dusk, Grillgate was trending locally with neighbors posting Evelyn-proof selfies. But Evelyn didn't quit. She escalated, filing a complaint with the mayor's office, complete with doctored photos and wild claims of hostile social environments. She spread rumors online, hinting at HOA fund misuse. Then came her final gambit, a fake legal notice threatening to sue me for defamation. It was laughable, but I wasn't playing. I hired a lawyer who drafted a cease and desist letter that shut her down cold. The neighborhood rallied. At the next HOA meeting, I presented a dossier of her abuses, false complaints, harassment, even a shady gate she'd funded with HOA money. The room erupted. A vote removed her from the board, and the ethics committee launched an investigation. Evelyn was fined for wasting city resources and faded into silence. By spring 2025, she'd sold her house and left. That night, Nate, Jamal, and I sat in my yard, toasting with root beer as kids drew chalk murals on the street. The block felt alive again, free from fear. Sometimes justice isn't a gavel. It's a community reclaiming its soul, one rib at a time. What do you think? Was I too harsh on Evelyn, or did she deserve every bit of it? Should neighbors have the right to grill and gather freely? Or do HOAs need strict rules to keep the peace? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild stories.